Hi everybody, welcome back and welcome to another Ruby Tuesday. Today is my turn for Ruby Tuesday, and for my project, this is going to be more of like just a craft with me. It's not necessarily a tutorial. I'm not going to walk you through each and every step. I'm just going to kind of I don't know. What I'm doing is I'm just messing around. I'm actually watching that movie, The Game. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but it's with Michael Douglas. It's kind of old. I don't remember from what year, but I was watching I was watching The Game and got inspired to make this little notebook for my project, and I thought that I would just do it really in a casual vibe. I'm not really trying to teach here, but I think that it is sort of you can see what I'm doing, so you can learn from just watching what I'm doing. This is a very beginner's level project, so very simple materials like glue, recycled materials like that brown paper bag piece, cardstock, and all you need is just your favorite papers to fill this notebook, and some pretty images for the front cover, back cover, and inner linings. So again, this is something you've probably seen before from another artist or someone else on YouTube, but this is just me having some fun, not taking my project too seriously. And again, I'm watching a movie and just kind of doing this to relax. I actually really was taking a break from my regular workflow, even though this is sort of part of my work. I was just taking a break from my regular, work tasks, I guess you could say, to just do something totally fun and without a lot of thought into it. I'm not going for a certain style or adding too many details. This is just a simple, literally just a notebook. It's a notebook. You can just use it for everyday journaling. You can gift it to somebody. This is it's so easy. You could even give this to somebody in Happy Mail or something like that, because it's just a really simple and fun project. So I did have some idea of what I wanted it to look like. So I do have some papers that I already printed out that I knew I wanted to be for the front cover, back cover, and inner linings. So I think I already showed those. And I will list the kits that they came out of, or the digital sets that they came out of, in the description box, so you know which exact ones I used. But I chose that really pretty green image for the front. You'll see it again at some point in the video. I knew I wanted that to be the cover, and I thought that I just would add other coordinating papers, with the French feel, and just sort of have little green touches and pinks in them to go sort of coordinate with that front cover. So anyway, that's about all the thought I gave to the design, because again, I just really want to have fun, and I'm not going for anything coordinated or matchy or a certain theme, or you know how some of my journals can get real extra. This is not that. So this is just, again, a simple notebook. So as you can see, all I'm doing here is covering the cardstock with that brown paper bag, and I just cut it down in the corners and stuff, and I'm just gluing it down. I like to use that tacky glue. Fabri-Tac is cool too, but tacky glue is just, I have it on hand. I have a really big bottle, and for more simple projects and projects that are just for fun, I like to use the tacky glue just because it gets the job done. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on Fabri-Tac and use your expensive Fabri-Tac for a project like this, in my opinion. So as you can see, I'm just tearing off the white spaces of the paper. I had sized the images down to sort of fit the cover, and then I even have a little bit of space left on the cover, so I'm going to add some additional embellishments. So you can see on the bottom there's a gap. So eventually I cover that. I don't know if I should talk through this whole thing. It is 30 minutes long. I'm just kind of going to pop in when needed, but for the most part, this is the project, right? So it's, like I said, it's a simple notebook, and I think, you can make any even simple notebook really beautiful with an amazing cover. I mean, is that green image not just like absurdly epic? I'm just like, I don't even know where Heather finds these things. It's just amazing. I've wanted to use this image for so long, but it's so detailed and so gorgeous, and I've been like intimidated by it, and I don't know how to use it. So I thought, let me just make something simple and put it on the front of like a little notebook and just start there. And luckily it's a printable, so it's not like wasting it. You can print it a million times. And just a note, I did get these images laser printed. I went to Staples and I got a whole bunch of stuff laser printed, so this is just like some of the things that from the stack of papers that I had laser printed. So it just kind of gives like a nice finish to the paper. It's sort of like, not glossy, but it's just not like that matte like printer paper, you know what I mean? So it has a little bit of a nicer finish on the front. But you could you definitely do just regular copy paper or printer paper as well. It would have the same effect. But yeah, let me stop yammering on and just let you watch as I make this little notebook, and I will pop in here and there. There's really no rhyme or reason to my method, so there's not a whole lot to explain. I think just I really was just having fun. Like I said, I was watching a movie and just like chilling in my room and playing with paper, kind of like a little, what do you call it, like a brain dump, I guess, where you're like, just, I don't know, just like not giving it too much focus and not trying too hard. Okay, I think you get what I'm saying. So just have fun, guys. Like if you make this little project, just play and have fun and glue papers wherever, and don't worry about it looking perfect. You're not this isn't like a journal for sale or anything like that. It's just a fun little notebook that I made. And I don't even know what I'm going to do with it after this video. Maybe I'll just give it away, just so that, someone can appreciate it and enjoy my little project while I was watching the game, which is such a cool movie. You should definitely go watch it if you haven't seen it. I've seen it like a bunch of times. It's old, but it's really, really interesting. So anyways, I'll be back in a little bit when there's more to say. Okay, so here all I'm doing is sewing around the perimeter of the notebook. I'm sorry for this terrible angle where you can't really see what I'm doing. Like here, why did I move my sewing machine right there where you can't see anything? So sorry for that funky view, but like literally all I did was sew around the whole thing. So you can see the sewing there. I like to sew first before adhering my inner lining papers. I used to do it after, but I kind of like the look of, not having all the little holes from the sewing, like the sewing needle, like the little punctures on the inner lining of the paper. Like I feel like it just gives like a cleaner effect when you don't do that. I used to do it because I feel like I thought I was like securing the paper down better by sewing around it, but if you just use enough glue and you make sure that you glue around the edges of the inner paper, just to make sure that the glue hits like every point and your paper isn't peeling up in any way around the edges of the notebook or even a journal, then you're fine. So so I just don't do that anymore. I just to me it gives like a little bit of a cleaner edge on the inside instead of seeing like little sewing lines, but that's fine if you do it the other way too. I'm just saying that's why I did it before, and that's why I stopped doing it. So just a little tip on the way I do things. So here I'm just using that little scrap that I just tore off to cover the gap on the front side. Again, I'm just like using scraps and little, like just very limited supplies, right? Like just what I pulled for this journal, that's pretty much all I'm gonna use. And so yeah, just kind of bringing that paper from the backside, a little portion of it over to the front, just to kind of give like a little bit of cohesiveness, I guess, to both the front and the back lining papers. But again, I didn't really think about it too much. I just had that little scrap there and figured that was perfect, and it worked just fine to cover that little gap. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish adhering all of these inner lining papers to the inside, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and cover all the gaps basically. So I'll let you go ahead and watch that. So this step right here is optional. I'm just putting a little fabric strip on the outer spine just to cover the gaps in the spine. You don't have to do that at all. You could just simply not have gaps like I did and just, size your papers correctly or glue them in a different way so that you don't have a gap. It's just optional, but I mean, I think it gives a nice little textural effect to the cover, and there's not going to be like ruffles and all sorts of textiles and stuff in this little notebook because it's just a notebook. There will be like a little bit of lace that I add later on, but I guess it's just kind of nice to have a little bit of fabric there to give a different feel to the book versus it just being all made of paper. Either way is fine, but I just felt like this little strip went well with the cover and all the papers and stuff, so I put it on there. So I had just done a batch of both avocado dyed paper and coffee dyed paper, so that happened to be the papers that I had laying around, like literally just right next to my desk. So I didn't think too hard about what types of papers I was going to put in there. You can if you want to. I just had these sitting there and I thought, well, let me just do, I think what I want to do is alternating. So I'll just do like one coffee dyed, one avocado dyed, another coffee dyed, etc. That's like primarily what the pages consist of, and then I add a couple of more vintage papers scattered in between, but mostly it's just like blank coffee dyed and avocado dyed papers alternated, which I think looked really pretty in the end, and you'll see how it looks later on. But just, it's kind of nice when you're flipping through the book and you sort of see like when you fan out the pages and you see like the colors, it just looks pretty. But you can use any papers that you like. So now I'm just using the leftover scraps from the 12 by 12 scrapbook paper that I used for one of the pages. And I'm going to use these little pieces as pockets. So I do one like bottom pocket and then one top loading pocket. And so I'm just sizing them down and cutting them down here. I think I just do a couple little pockets and tuck spots, not too many, because again, in my head, this is just a notebook, so I don't want to overwhelm it with a ton of tuck spots and a ton of pockets. And those can also be added later on, so get creative. If you need more pockets and tuck spots, just glue some in. I'm gonna glue mine and then sew them in later just for the sewing effect, but you don't need to sew. This can be a totally a no sew project if you want it to be. So yeah, I'm just figuring out where I'm gonna put the little pockets and gluing them on. So what I'm doing here is just taking the scraps left over from the wallpaper that I used on the cover to cover those gaps on the front and the back of the notebook. I just had these little scraps laying left over on my desk, and instead of throwing them in a scrap drawer, I'm just adhering them randomly to some pages on the inside just to add some interest or inspiration to some of the pages. Just like, you see, like, what's the point of putting that little tiny piece in the trash or back in my scrap drawer when I can just glue it back onto the journal and just have a little bit of the elements on the front carry over into the inside of the journal, so it all kind of like brings everything together, I guess, without really trying too hard. So I'm just gluing in like random places, just where I think this little scrap would look cute. This is a French wallpaper, and it's like got gold reflex in it. It's kind of hard to see the gold, I think, on camera, but it's a really pretty paper, and so I just don't want to waste it. So something that I love about Heather's kits that she does in a lot of her kits is these sort of like cut apart sheets, I guess you could call it. That's what I'm going to call it. It's just like different elements that you can cut apart on one sheet. And what she does, like this particular one here, is really nice because it's got it's like one of everything, right? So there's this little one with a nice font right here, the nice French typography. There's a floral, there's a photograph. So there's just, this one had a lot of like nice variety. So you can use that whole sheet in one journal because you have like, a nice variety of elements. And I cut all of the elements out. And again, the colors match perfectly with kind of what I'm going for with the greens. Again, I'm not being too choosy, but just the fact that it had a little bit of green, perfect. Great. It matches. So I picked it. And I already had that printed out as well. I have a little folder in my office of Ruby and Pearl digitals that I just like print out, in a batch. And then I pull from there from time to time. So it was easy for me to just kind of pull it out of my file folder and cut it all out. So I'm using the photograph as a little side tuck here. So again, I don't have a lot of tuck spots. I think I just have that one bottom pocket, top loading pocket, and then this little side tuck here that I'm doing. And this little scrap of lace was something that I had laying around as well. And I just thought, you know, adding it just a little bit of textural interest to the pages on the inside would be nice, but without going overboard with the whole 9 yards of ruffles and trims and tabs and all that stuff, because we're not doing that. We're just making a notebook. So anyways, it's just like a little bit of extraness versus a lot of extraness. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue her in, and yeah, I guess I'll be back. All right, so now I have all my pages ready to go. Everything's sewn down, all my pockets, everything's glued. And I'm just doing a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I don't make a guide or anything like that. I just eyeball what I think is the middle and then eyeball 2 more holes. And I'm doing it to where the strings are going to hang out on the outside. So when I end up completing the stitch and need to tie them off, I'm going to be tying it on the outside just for some extra interest to the outside. So I'm going to tie it off into a little bow on the outside. So super easy stitch. Did I say 5-hole? If I did, I meant 3-hole. I think I said 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Yeah, this is a 3-hole. So just tying it off. I like to loop it through and just tie a couple knots and then a bow. So here's a little overview of the notebook, and as you can see to the left, some of the supplies that I use. So very simple, limited supplies, definitely a project for a beginner and even for more advanced journal makers. If you just want to make like a cute little notebook, just sit and watch a movie like The Game and just have fun and play. And I mean, it might look, really basic to some people who are used to doing more elaborate journals, but, I think this is a really cute little notebook to give to somebody for sure. I think somebody would love something like this in Happy Meal or something like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed my project, and let me know if you are interested in making something like this, or if you do, tag me on Instagram so I can see. All right, bye.